Hi, I'm Shalene from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be talking about themes. If you're in high school and you're in an English subject, chances are you've heard lots of talking about themes. Themes are something that we talk about a lot in English or literature classes because they are what holds a text together. When I say text, I'm talking about things like novels, about short stories, about collections of poems. What all of these have in common, except for poetry perhaps, is that they're all about things that happen. So they all have some sort of story, a beginning, middle, and end. They probably have characters in them. But what makes a text worthy of study at a secondary high school level is that they are all tied together by something that is more than just what happens in the text, so more than just the plot. The reason why we study themes is that it helps us to gain an understanding of just life in general. So by definition, a theme is a big idea, an overarching idea that we see recurring throughout the story of a text, right? And often what these themes are things that we all experience at some point or another in our lives, regardless of where you live, regardless of who you are, regardless of whether or not you're rich or poor, or doesn't matter. We all experience some things like this. So really common themes are things like love, grief, loss, the passage of time, the loss of innocence and growing into maturity, the strength of friendships, the value of family ties, the pain of family ties, the journey of moving from one place to another, violence, death, life, birth, all of these things. So in saying that, given that these are fairly common themes in many, many texts, how do we know what a theme is, right, in a text? Let's say you're reading a novel, that your teacher's making you read. How do I know what themes are here? Well, a really good place to start is to ask yourself, is there something that happens in the text that's really, really important and it has lots of connections to other parts of the story? So say, for example, we're looking at Romeo and Juliet. Classic love story. I would say love is a major theme because it's all about love. All the things that happen in the play is a result of love. I mean, if Romeo saw Juliet and Juliet said, no thanks, you're not my type, we wouldn't have a play, right? But because they love each other, that's where we get like the rest of everything that happens. So love in the play is a major theme. Another major theme that we can find when we look at a play like Romeo and Juliet is maybe something about, incompatible families or family relationships, or something about, those family connections and what they mean to us. I don't want to put a name to it because, your teacher can do that for you. But today I'm really talking about how to find these themes, right? And if we look at the story, we find in lots of places all this discussion about, you know, but to love Romeo, to go with Romeo, then I'll have to give up my family. And Romeo says all the time, you know, what's my name to me? I don't care about family, etc., etc. And, you know, lots of friends and family die along the way. So in looking at the story, we can see that this is a really big idea. It's something that's really important to a lot of characters, and a lot of stuff happens because of this. So we can safely say that this is a theme in the play. One of the easier ways of finding a theme is to see if there are major discussions or conversations or dialogues that happen between characters that are really significant to the plot. So if, say, two characters have a conversation and out of that conversation lots of stuff happens, you want to look very closely at that conversation and have a look at what they talked about, because that's going to give you some hints as to what themes are going to be there in the text. Now, this is going to be slightly different advice for if you're studying a collection of poems or short stories, really, if you're studying a collection of short stories. I would say your job is probably a bit easier there, because you can look at all of these different bits in the collection and just ask yourself, what do they all have in common? So if I'm looking at, say, a collection of short stories and they're all about people moving to a different place, well, then I would say, you know, the migrant experience is probably a very large theme in these short stories. Or if you're looking at a collection of poems and they're all about dying, for example, and then I would say, you know, probably death and loss and grief is, you know, some major themes there. So you want to look at the different pieces in your collection and just ask yourself, you know, what do they have in common? What are they all about, essentially? Right, and there you go. That's your theme. So I hope that was helpful. As always, like and subscribe to all of our social media so you can get our latest tips and tricks to achieving your best in your English subject. And if you'd like to get some one-to-one tutoring, please contact us and we can send someone to you. Thanks for watching.